Hello, it is I. Now, car designers in the past have created some pretty horrendous looking cars, from the Fiat Multipla to the Renault Twizy, all the way to the Pontiac Aztek. However, these are very famous examples of weirdly designed cars, and I'm not sure about you, but I'd prefer to teach you guys about cars you haven't heard of. So today I'll be going through 10 cursed looking cars that you probably had no idea even existed. Now, before getting into this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are trying to hit 200k subscribers by summer this year, so any help would be greatly appreciated. Also, let's try and hit 4,000 likes on this video. We haven't hit 4,000 likes in quite a long time, so make sure to hit that because it will be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, and now let's get into number 1. The Ferrari 599 GTZ Nebbiolo Zagato. What a long name. In 2006, Ferrari released their sequel to the 575M called the 599. It looked stunning, came as an automatic or a manual, and it of course was powered by a naturally aspirated 6-litre V12 engine. And it's my personal favourite Ferrari. It was so legendary in fact that it caught the eye of the iconic Italian coach building company Zagato. You may have heard of them from their beautiful Aston Martins they've made in the past. Anyway, Zagato took a 599, gave it a grille similar to a Maserati A6 Berlinetta, the taillights of a C1 Corvette, and the overall shape of a speedboat. And the end product looked a bit like this. And it's quite possibly the most ugly, beautiful car ever made. I don't think there's a more accurate way to describe the car. Only 9 were ever made, each one going for $1.5 million, making the car both super rare and super expensive. Now, what do you guys think of this car? I'd definitely take a standard GTB over this one, but I surprisingly don't hate the Zagato. The Firebird XP-21. Now, do you remember when Sherp tried to sell the fact that their cars were made by people used to make planes, when in reality they were literally just rebadged Vauxhalls? Well, the Firebird XP-21 takes the car designed by a plane company concept to a whole nother level. The XP-21 was made in 1953, and it's quite literally the closest thing you can get to a plane for the road. Well, I say the road, but in reality it was a land speed record car. It's powered by a Wildfire 302 gas turbine engine, producing upwards of 370 brake horsepower, pushing this literal rocket car to 100 miles per hour in first gear. However, its top speed according to GM is top secret. The Firebird featured brake discs outside of the wheel for better cooling, and had retractable wings to help stop the car at speed, because when you have a jet powered car, just like in an actual jet, the brakes aren't going to do much help. Also, this gas turbine car wasn't just a one-off concept. This technology was carried on in family cars in the future like the Chrysler turbine car. The XP-21 was nicknamed the Firebird 1, and the company made 2 predecessors called the Firebird 2 and Firebird 3. Now, even though I was never alive to witness these sort of cars coming out of factories in the USA, I really wish something like this could make a return. I mean, it's literally a jet car for the road. What is cooler than that? Actually, the story for the next car is pretty cool if I do say so myself. The Mercedes Schnelltransporter. It was the early 50s, the start of Formula 1. Many iconic car companies took part, one of which being the Silver Arrows, with Juan Manuel Fangio and Sterling Moss behind the wheel. Now, weirdly, Mercedes prefer to fix their cars at their factory in Stuttgart rather than on the circuit like what most teams did. So instead of using a pre-built vehicle transporter to take their cars to Germany to get them fixed and bring them back to the circuits to race, Mercedes decided to build their very own bespoke transporter specifically for their Grand Prix cars. So they took the engine, dashboard, and headlights from a 300 SL Gullwing and put this all into their brand new race car transporter. And their final product was this. The Mercedes Rennwagen Schnelltransporter, or the Blue Wonder as it was also known. It had many weird design traits, like the oddly shaped rear window, the lack of a bonnet, the sheer length of the thing. However, its most unusual design trait was the fact that the driver sits in front of the front wheels. Name me one other car where that's the case. Exactly, because there isn't one. This is the only one like that. However, in the late 60s, Mercedes ended up crushing the truck as it took too much space and there wasn't any nostalgia or wow factor towards vintage cars at the time. It was like the equivalent of an old Sprinter van at the time. Thus, the only ones that remain today are replicas, one of which is at Mercedes and the other one is owned by Jay Leno. It's honestly a very odd looking car, but you gotta love and respect it. I doubt we'd ever see a Formula 1 team create their own transporter like Mercedes did in 1950. The Sherp. Now, if you know this guy, or this game, then you've definitely seen one of these cars. Created just 9 years ago in 2012, Ukraine released this very weird car called the Sherp. It was like the Kalashnikov of cars, cheap and easy to make and repair. It never got any mainstream attention until Kanye West featured it in the music video for Follow God and gifted many of these trucks to his rapper friends. Then it made its way onto a GTA 5 online DLC, and Rich Rebuilds got his hands on one of these too. And I've got a pretty good feeling that Doug DeMuro is going to eventually make a video on one of these cars too. It's a very strange looking car or truck or ATV or whatever you want to call this thing, hence it definitely deserved a place face in this video, the Mercedes S600 Royale. Now, have you ever looked at a Mercedes 600 Grosser and thought to yourself, I want to make a modern version of that car and drive it around LA? Well, one man from LA thought that to himself, so he got himself an S-Class, gave it the grille of an actual 600 Grosser with some retro-inspired wheels, made it boxier, and gave it the headlights and tail lights of a Mercedes SLS. And this was the end product. The owner called it the S600 Royale, and I genuinely don't know how to feel about this. I feel like I should hate the car, but it somehow just works for whatever reason. You know what? Let me know what you guys think of this car in the comments down below. Would you ever do this to your beloved S-Class? I definitely won't, but it doesn't look that bad. The Nissan S-Cargo. In 1989, Nissan decided to create a small retro-styled van, inspired by the French Citroën 2CV fourgonette delivery. What the f is that word? Fourgonette, okay, inspired by the Citroën 2CV fourgonette delivery van, this was their creation. Nissan called this the S-Cargo because it looked a bit like a snail, and the French word for a snail is escargot, so they played a pun on the words and called it the S-Cargo. Weird flex, but okay. It had many weird design elements, like the one-spoke steering wheel, the strangely shaped A-pillars, the random circular windows on the rear panel, and the really weird headlights. It's like it has pop-up headlights, but it was stuck open for whatever reason. It's a very weird looking car, but very lovable at the same time. The Sebring Vanguard CitiCar. The first ever electric car was created in the USA in the 1890s and was capable of reaching 14 miles per hour. This odd concept evolved and evolved over time, and in 1976, the American car manufacturer Sebring Vanguard created their first ever mass production electric car. They called it the CitiCar, and it was the American equivalent of the G-Wiz. Powered by a GE Series DC motor, the CitiCar produced 2.5 brake horsepower at the start of its production, but was up to a whopping 6 brake horsepower with its later models. Weighing in at 591 kilos, it was 10 times the weight of a P50. And fun fact, one of the cars from Cyberpunk 2077 is based off this car. Now, despite it being a marketing success, it wasn't a very great car. I mean, it started the let's hate all electric cars train back in the 70s. Honestly, love him or hate him, if it wasn't for Elon Musk, in the future the electric cars we'd be driving would have all been like this. So you gotta give credit where credit's due. Elon made it less embarrassing to drive an electric car. In fact, he actually somehow made it cool. But if you were seen driving the next car on this list, then I'm afraid your friends and family would lose all respect for you. The Subaru Impreza Casablanca. Now, over recent years there have been many special edition Subaru Imprezas, from the P1 to the Cosworth to the WR1. These are all very special looking cars. However, if I showed you this, you'd probably think that it's a terrible aftermarket attempt at a front end swap on a poor old Subaru Impreza. But what if I were to tell you that this is how it came out of the factory? Well, it is. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Casablanca Impreza, and it's what happens when a Jaguar Mark II and Subaru Impreza have a baby, and boy is it hideous. The Casablanca reminds me of mint chocolate. It's a great example of two nice things that should never go hand in hand. Don't let a beautiful classic Jaguar mate with a bog standard Subaru Impreza. And if you thought the front was hideous, you should see the back of the thing, because it's somehow just as worse, with its round taillight conversion and cheap looking chrome rings surrounding it. Oh, it just looks so cursed. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some classic car inspired aftermarket kits that look very fitting on some cars, like the S2 racing kit for the Mazda MX-5, but this, it's just not it, chief. Anyways, that's the end of the video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. That totally wasn't planned. Anyways, before you guys go, did you know that over half of you guys watching are not subscribed? That's very embarrassing. I cry myself to sleep like every night because of that, because 50%, are you dumb? So if you're one of them, then what are you doing? Make sure to subscribe down below. It's free. Unlike Netflix, so you have to pay like, what, 50 quid a month? I don't know. It's free, this. And also, let's try and hit 4,000 likes on this video. Or 5,000. Ooh. Nah, screw it, 4,000. I'm not gonna risk 5,000, man. Comment down below any other future videos you guys would like me to make, and I will catch up with you guys very soon. Until next time, have a good one, guys. Stay safe, stay inside. Until next time, cheers.
I never stacked lots, bro was in that trap moving crack rocks. I was bunking off school meeting mummy next to trap spots. I bro, she never had a clue, Jid, I don't wanna be like me, cause I just wanna be like you.